Hello, YouTube viewers. My name is Bob Moylan. I'm a psychotherapist in Illinois. I've treated hundreds of patients for addictions, depression, anxiety, anger issues. Today we're going to discuss emotional core therapy app, which is scientifically proven to treat the root cause of stress for opioid users. How can we say this, and why do we know it's true? Well, because the emotional core therapy app is the only app in the world that treats the root cause of stress, which is the temporary arousal of one of the four emotions: joy, grief, fear, relief. We're going to show you that right now. Let's show you how the app works. First of all, the app has a training video, which is an hour long, which will teach you how to use the 8-step process. Gives like 10-20 examples. It has an About Us section in the Settings section, which you can click on, which discusses how to use the app. It's best to use the app for small stresses in life first, and then go to bigger stresses so you can master the app. It sometimes takes 5-10 hours to use, but it's the most effective model in the world. Once you use this app for opioid addiction, it is also the most effective model in the world for happiness, which we all want as human beings, because you're learning to monitor the body for the four emotions. The secret of life, really, and to beat addictions, is to embrace the four emotions. This app in the About Us section has symptoms of joy, grief, fear, and relief. Ultimately, the dangers of opioids cause immense grief and fear on people, and that's what we want to discuss here in the app. Let's dive right into the app right now, go to the home section, and start using the app so you see why it's so effective. This is the only model in the world that treats the root cause of stress and what really is about the properties of opioids, which are so dangerous, and it tackles that head on. So let's go into the app first. What is causing you stress today? I'm using opioids. And with this app, you can talk it out or write it out. We're going to do both here, so you see how easy it is. It's like talking to your girlfriend, boyfriend, or a therapist, or somebody else that's going to help you with the stress. You can use this basically 24 hours a day. It's on the Android system, but hopefully soon it'll be on the iPhone also. What relationship is causing you stress? What relationship are you entering or leaving? The app basically asks you 7-8 basic questions, and you have to learn to monitor. That's what stress is. So you have to learn to identify those 7 questions and answer them every time. Opioid addiction. So that we just put that in there, like you're talking and writing out. What is the need of someone or something that's causing you stress? Now with opioids, it's not so much the money issue. It's not the financial. It's either emotional, financial, physical, or spiritual. It's the physical components of opioids. Now let's see why this app is so beneficial. The dangers of opioids are immense. So we're going to go right to the internet and say, research the dangers of opioids. I put it out there right here. So we go into that, we click on opioid drug facts, scroll down, that you can read and what's in opioids. That's the hardest thing for young people to do. What are common prescription opioids besides heroin? Heroin was one of the most dangerous opioids, and is never used as a medicine in the United States, but some medicines that are used have opioids in them are Vicodin, Percocet, codeine, fentanyl. How do people misuse opioids? They take the medication in a way that's not prescribed, taking someone else's medication, etc. Now let's look at what opioids does to the brain. Read right here what they can do to the brain, feelings of pain and pleasure. People want these things to block out the pain, and unfortunately, it's very, very volatile, very, very dangerous. What are some of the possible effects of prescription opioids on the brain and body? Drowsiness, nausea, etc. Opioids can be. Here's one of the dangers. Opioids misuse can cause slowed breathing, which can basically cause death, permanent brain damage and death. What are some of the other health effects of opioids? Now, what we can do is we can just cut and paste this right here, if we want to, and read it, and then own up to that what is really in there. Now we go back to the second step, plug it right into the app right here. And there you're embracing what really is going on, the true cause of true components of opioids. Now the next step is an automatic step for most people. What senses are being aroused? When you take opioids, you're seeing it, you're touching it, possibly smelling it, tasting it. Next step, what emotion is aroused in this encounter? People use any type of drugs, whether it's cigarettes, alcohol, chewing gum, anything you're doing, soda pop, because they think it's going to bring them joy, but it really brings them grief and fear long term. The key to this app and why it's so effective is it helps you monitor your stress 1 to 10. From the time you're born to the time you die, we have these 4 emotions, okay? And the real problem with, opioids is it causes you and your loved ones immense grief, all right, and fear. But when we look at it, how much grief and fear, it can be very, very volatile, very, very dangerous. You can have, when you're taking these things, you can have persistent, sad, anxious moods, feelings of hopelessness, pessimism, feelings of guilt. So grief is a major reason why we don't want to do something. We have to embrace the fact that these causes of grief, and change what we're doing. The next step is, what happens to stress? Stress goes to your brain and your central nervous system, to your muscles and tendons. This is an automatic stress for people. It's like an echo or an alarm. It goes throughout your body. So we have stress. Oftentimes people that use opioids are in long-term stress for weeks and months because they're using these things. They're hooked on them. Where do you feel this stress? Well, you can feel it anywhere. Your chest, body, neck, wherever you want it. Let's say you feel it almost all over. You write that down there. Put it all over. Wherever you feel the stress. Remember, you can talk in this app or write it out. The next step is, how do you release this stress? There's many different ways to release stress. This app focuses on talking and writing it out. I'm stressed today regarding my relationship choice with opioids. And I'm going to write it in there. And the authentic feeling is, this time I'm going to use a voice activation system, which I think is lovely for people to use. Authentic emotion. I am feeling the authentic emotion of grief. Grief. So I write that down. Grief. And the next step is learning to have a relaxed state of being. There's truly only 7 steps to this process. Whenever you have stress, there's 7 basic things that happen, and this app covers them. And it's the only app in existence that covers them. But really, we want to make better decisions. We want to stay calm. So mindfulness is kind of the 8th step here. Emotional core therapy is closely related to mindfulness-based cognitive behavior therapy. That's really what we're doing here for the most part. So let's watch a calming video and try to relax ourselves a bit. That's what we're trying to do here, reset our brain.
Let your mind relax and daydream. Whatever thoughts come and go in your mind, simply observe them as if from a distance. Notice your breathing. Breathe in through the nose for a count of 3 and out through a count of 6. Feel yourself slowly regaining yourself from the stress of the outside world. When you reach a calm state of being, click on the icon below to end the 8-step process.
So now let's go back to the home section. We can do the ECT app again. Remember, when we're doing highly addictive drugs that are dangerous to our body, it's like putting your hand on the stove. Why would you put your hand on the stove? You would burn yourself, right? So why would you make bad decisions or poor decisions? The real efficacy or really value of emotional core therapy is it has you take responsibility for all your relationship choices. And I have great compassion for people that are use addictions. I just got off a soda pop addiction I've had for a couple of years, and I had to embrace the bad part of it myself. I used to get stomach pains, from all the sugar crashes, but finally I was able to beat it. I have a little Starbucks coffee in the morning to wake me up. That's about it right now. But I transitioned because I had to embrace that bad in life. And really, opioid users have to learn to monitor their emotions, say enough is enough, and try something different. One of the dynamics with opioid users is that it is very dangerous. So hospitalization or incarceration, these are better opportunities than dying from these drugs and leaving your family behind. So I hope that you can use this. It's a great tool to use when you're in rehab or anything else, or just at home, 24 hours a day. Work with your therapist, counselors, synagogue leader, etc., to use this process. The app does have links to my books here. I have written 8 books, including some spiritual books that cover this stuff. These go into more detail about the 8-step process. It's like a teaching tool. It also has my journal articles on happiness, depression, anxiety. Once you use this app for addictions and embrace the bad in life, it's also the most effective model in the world for happiness. We have a journal article on happiness. You can monitor your happiness with the 8-step app, which is wonderful, which is the secret of life and the goal of nearly all humans. So embrace the bad in life, embrace the dangers, and learn to monitor them. Again, the emotional core therapy monitors your stress. The 4 emotions are with us from the time we're born to the time we die, and they serve as a navigation tool in life. So when we make these bad decisions regarding things that are dangerous for us, we have to learn from them, learn how they affect us, the negative emotions that it causes, and learn to move towards other relationships. Thanks so much, Bob Moylan.